Hello, and welcome to the We Are the Medicine podcast. This podcast is a place where we discuss a wide variety of topics, from psychedelics and other plant medicines to sovereignty and spirituality. This is a space where we have raw and vulnerable conversations and explore the mysteries of our universe with the intention of empowering listeners and guiding you to ask the questions that will help you come into a deeper resonance with your truest essence. I'm your host, Serena Rose. Now let's get into the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the We Are the Medicine podcast. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about magic mushrooms, sacred mushrooms, also known as psilocybin mushrooms. And in some traditions in Mexico, Central and South America, they are known as los niños santos, or the children saints, or the holy children. You can think of it like that. It's funny that I haven't talked about the sacred mushrooms yet on this podcast, because that is definitely where my medicine knowledge, a lot of it stems from. I have worked extensively with psilocybin mushrooms over the last 7 or so years, and they have helped me heal so much and expanded my awareness and my perspective on life so much. I have such a deep place in my heart for the sacred mushrooms. And if you're watching the video, you'll see I'm wearing my mushroom shirt today. So first, I just want to talk about mushrooms in general and how they are such an important part of nature and our ecosystems here on this planet, because mushrooms and the mycelium, which is actually the main part of the mushroom itself is just the fruit of this fungus. The majority of the fungi actually live underground in what's called mycelium. And if you look up a picture of mycelium, the interesting thing about it is it looks very similar to the neural networks of our brain. So the mycelium is very important to nature's ecosystem. They actually help trees to communicate with each other through the mycelial networks. And through these mycelial networks, the trees can even send nutrients to each other. So if there's one tree who is lacking in nutrients, other trees will send nutrients through the mycelial network to the tree in need. And I just think that's very beautiful and very indicative of what it is that the mushrooms help us with, such as communication and connection with the earth, connection with each other. They have personally helped me so much in connecting with the earth and realizing my connection to everything around me, the stars, the earth, the people around me. They have helped me a lot to connect with my inner child, which is why I love the name Los Niños Santos, and I think that it is a great representation of what the sacred mushrooms are. They really help us to find the joy in life again. They help us to have fun and play and feel that inner child essence. And what I really love about them is they help us to realize that healing doesn't always have to be so serious. The sacred mushrooms, they really love when we play. They really inspire us to play and just have fun and be in joy. And that doesn't mean that there aren't serious parts. Like, if you have shit that you need to work through and you go into a mushroom journey, the mushrooms will take you there. And they will take you to your grief. They will take you to your pain and your sorrow and your despair. And they will help you to move through that and to alchemize it, to get to the point where you can connect with your inner child and then just experience the joy of life. They're just so incredibly special to me. And I do love and appreciate that there has been a lot more scientific research done on the sacred mushrooms in the last few years, showing that they can help to aid in depression, PTSD, anxiety. They can really help us to work through a lot of these mental health issues that are now running rampant in our society and our communities. What a lot of the research has shown so far is that the sacred mushrooms can help us to boost our serotonin, helping us feel more balanced, and even create new neural pathways in our brain, which is amazing. And that's called neurogenesis. That is the creation of new neural pathways. So when we experience any kind of trauma, especially over a prolonged period of time, like most of us, I would say, have experienced in our childhood some form of trauma, that trauma will cause our brains to be wired in a certain way, which is why we can experience these really intense triggers and things, because our brain is literally wired to respond to that outside information, and it reminds us of the experiences and the trauma that we've had in the past. So mushrooms can really help us to see our trauma and our pain and our despair and our depression and all of that in new ways, and can create new thought patterns, which is what essentially it is, to create these new neural pathways. Obviously, I am not a doctor or a scientist, so I'm not the best at explaining these things in super scientific terms, but that is the understanding that I have so far from what I've done in reading the research. And personally, I'm not one of those people that needs to see scientific evidence of something in order to believe it. I am very much connected to my experience, and my experience with the mushrooms have been super transformative. And I also find the scientific research to be very enlightening and interesting. And I know a lot of people do want to have that concrete evidence that this is helping them. So the mushrooms are just so special, and almost every time that I've gone on a deep journey with mushrooms, they have helped me to realize, like I said, the connections between things. So during these times when I have done a full journey dose of 3.5 grams, I have experienced this many times where I see the synchronicities of everything in my life, even just throughout that day. I went to the store and the clerk at the store said something to me, and how it connects with what I'm experiencing. Or I'll think about a post that I saw or something a friend said to me, and just really seeing the connections and the synchronicities that exist everywhere around me. And the mushrooms have really helped me to realize that everything is in perfect order. That even the parts of our lives that feel chaotic and like confusing and what the fuck is happening, this is horrible, like even those parts are in perfect order, and they're there for a reason. They're there to teach us something. And this is a big thing that the mushrooms have helped me with. I have done many solo journeys with the mushrooms, and that has been a beautiful experience. Just creating a ceremony with just me and the sacred mushrooms to go into my traumas, to go into my hurt and my pain and heal it and connect with myself and connect with spirit and connect with my guides and the earth and all of those things. It has really transformed my life. And the more that I work with the mushrooms, the more transformation I experience, and the deeper I'm able to go into myself and understanding myself and knowing myself. And they're just a beautiful ally to have on your journey. Hey friend, if you are interested in plant medicines, or if you're on the plant medicine path, or even if you just like to work with plant medicines to enhance your spiritual practice, you are going to love Four Visions Market. Four Visions Market has a wide selection of many different spiritual tools that can help enhance your spiritual practice. They have just about anything you could imagine to fit your personal spiritual needs, such as an amazing collection of hape, which is my personal favorite thing to buy from them. Four Visions is my go-to place to get hape, and my two favorites from them are Divine Mother Rose and the Ojo de Jaguar hape. And even if you're not into hape like me, I promise you they will have something you're gonna love. They have a wide selection of spiritual tools with anything from ceremonial cacao to botanical tinctures such as King Nettle tincture, which, by the way, nettle is one of the most amazing and nutritious plants that you can put in your body. So everyone needs them a little bottle of king nettle tincture. They also have hand-woven bags, jewelry, instruments. Honestly, seriously, like just go check them out because they have such an amazing variety of products to choose from. And the beautiful thing about Four Visions is that every single product in their marketplace is created handmade by indigenous people of the Amazon. And what I really love about them is that they give 50% of their profits back to those indigenous artisans to support them and their families and the tribes and make sure that they are healthy and beautiful and thriving as well. I am so grateful to be partnered with Four Visions. I really believe in their message and their purpose in this world. I love the way that they support and give back to the indigenous communities in the Amazon. And I think it's probably one of the best companies that you could support because they are really doing a lot to help those indigenous people. And I have a special 10% off code for you. So if you click the link in the show notes and use the code Serena Rose, you can get 10% off your first order. Now let's get back to the episode. What's funny is in my journey of learning from the mushrooms and working with them, for the longest time, I only would do full journey doses, like I said, at least 3.5 grams. And that is a full, deep, typically 4 to 6 hour journey. I've done many of those by myself, and I've done them also with other people. And I didn't really think about microdosing very much. I have a Scorpio stellium in my astrology chart, and if you know anything about astrology, Scorpio likes to go deep. And I am that person. Like, I like to have deep conversation. I want to go deep into things. So it makes sense that I would be more inclined to just go right on in and not even think about microdosing. And then over the years, as microdosing has become more popularized and a lot of people are talking about it, I started experimenting here and there. You know, I would take a microdose one day or, you know, take a little microdose and go on a hike or hang out with my boyfriend or just watch a nature show or something. And that was beautiful. But over the last month, I have actually done a 30-day microdosing protocol. And oh my God, the amount of healing and shifting that has happened for me has been so profound. And I'm just like, why did I not do this before? Like, why have I not microdosed for a longer period of time before? But everything happens as it's supposed to. So I'm just very grateful for that. And I am excited to share some of the lessons and the experiences I've had with microdosing, because I think that it is a really beautiful way for people to start connecting with this medicine, especially if you're new to it and you've never tried mushrooms before and you're kind of scared and you don't know if you want to do a whole journey. Microdosing can be a really beautiful way to connect with this medicine and to receive the medicine's teachings without having a full, deep journey that maybe you don't feel ready for. So in general, microdosing is taking a very, very small amount of the medicine, which is almost undetectable, which sometimes you won't even feel it. You won't even realize, you might forget that you even took it. But the healing that happens, even just from that small amount, is amazing. So typically, a standard microdose is about 0.1 to 0.2 grams. So that's a big difference from 3.5 grams to 0.1. And on the first day, you definitely might feel it more. You might feel a little giddy, but you start to build a tolerance immediately. So when you microdose, you don't want to take the mushrooms every day. So if you're doing a 30-day protocol, you don't want to take them for 30 days in a row because you will build a tolerance. And so there's different ways that you can go about this. And the beautiful thing is you can really just customize it for whatever works best for you. A few different options is you can do 1 day on, 1 day off for 30 days. Or you can do 2 days on, 2 days off. You can do 3 days on, 2 days off. I wouldn't really recommend doing more than 3 days in a row on because you'll start to build that tolerance and you'll need a lot more medicine to really feel it in any way. So what I've done for this past month is honestly just flowed with it. Some days I was doing 2 days on, 2 days off. Some days I was doing 3 days on, 3 days off. Some days I did 1 day on, 2 days off. And I kind of just flowed with it and went with however I felt that day. If I felt like I needed extra support or anything like that, that's when I would especially go to the mushrooms, you know? So I wasn't super strict with it. I like to flow, but you figure out whatever works best for you in your microdosing journey. The benefit of microdosing as opposed to macrodosing is it's a lot easier to integrate the lessons into your daily life and to actually see lasting change, because macrodose journeys where you're going on a long 4 to 6 hour journey are amazing and transformative and deep and beautiful. And sometimes it can be harder to bring all of the lessons that you learned in that 4 to 6 hours into your day-to-day life. So that is the beautiful thing about microdosing, is it gives you a way to be with the medicine and receive the lessons and integrate those lessons into your daily life. And that's because you can take a microdose and still live your life. You can take a microdose and go on a walk. You can take a microdose and go to the gym or do your work like you normally would. But it shifts your perspective on your day-to-day life. And that is the really beautiful thing. So my experience over this last 30 days has been incredibly transformational and so healing. And I can feel the shift that has occurred in me. And it's been very needed, because if you listen to my last episode, you know that I am currently in my Saturn return, and it's been really challenging. It has been a wild ride already just in the last few months, and I've really been working through a lot of emotional, mental stuff and a lot of patterns that I have and habits that I have in my life that need to be released. And I'm essentially in a really deep death portal that is very prolonged right now. And I have so greatly appreciated the support of the sacred mushrooms through this transition. But the other thing I forgot to mention is mushrooms as a species, not only in nature do they assist the trees and the plants in connecting with each other and sending nutrients, they are also the great decomposers of the earth. They help to decompose dead matter and turn it into fertilizer for new life to grow. And I heard another medicine sister say it in such a beautiful way that they also decompose the dead matter inside us. And they help us to create space for new life, for new beginnings to emerge. So that's been very beautiful and needed in this time of my life where I'm going through a lot of changes. I'm trying to make a lot of shifts in my life, and it honestly feels a little bit overwhelming a lot of times, but the mushrooms have really helped me so much. So the main changes that I've seen, for one, they have helped me with emotional regulation, which I am a person who I feel my emotions very deeply. Like I said, Scorpio stellium, it's a lot going on, okay? I feel my emotions very deeply and very intensely, and that has been very difficult for me because for a lot of my life, I have suppressed that. Anytime I would have something very challenging or very hard or like deep grief or sadness, anything like that, I would try to push it away. And over the years, I have gotten so much better at that. But I feel like the mushrooms have really helped me to learn to not resist these dense, dark, heavy emotions, and helped me to learn how to feel them and how to work through it and how to cry it out and how to, scream or cry or whatever I have to do, journal, sing, whatever it is that I need to do in order to move through this emotion so that I can transmute it into something more beautiful. And that has been life-changing for me. Like, just being able to work through my emotions in a healthy way on a daily basis is there's not even words to explain how huge that is. And I think a lot of us need that because we're not really taught, a lot of us when we're children growing up, our parents didn't really know how to regulate their nervous systems. So we grow up having a dysregulated nervous system and not knowing how to soothe ourselves and not knowing how to deal with heavy, difficult emotions. A lot of us, me included, have experienced, when we were kids and we cry or throw a tantrum, our parents don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to regulate themselves. And so they're just like, stop, don't cry. Like, or they yell at us maybe, like all sorts of things to get us to just stop feeling whatever we're feeling. And that's no shade to our parents. Like, they're doing the best they can. And I'm so grateful for my parents. But I have a lot of shit that I got to work through because they didn't know how to do it. And that is my honor. It's truly an honor to do this work, even though it's really fucking hard, not gonna lie. So I do feel like that's one of the biggest transformational experiences that I've had throughout this 30 days of microdosing. And the beautiful thing is that I just generally feel better, even on the days when I'm not taking the microdose. And it's funny, it's interesting. I have even had that feeling like I have the mushrooms with me, like I did take a microdose on the days when I didn't take a microdose. So that's just really interesting. And it's beautiful how when you take a medicine, it really does stay with you. Like, there's people who can work with mushrooms or ayahuasca one time and that's all they need. But that plant teacher, fungi teacher is with them forever. So emotional regulation has been a big thing. And that also goes into my experience of depression. I am someone who has experienced deep depression off and on since I was a preteen, maybe like 11 or 12 is when I started really experiencing that. And I have dealt with suicidal thoughts and suicidal ideation up to now in adulthood. I still have those experiences, and they're not typically as bad or intense as they used to be when I was a teenager, but they still happen, and sometimes they still knock me out for a week, 2 weeks, a month sometimes, and it can be really, really difficult for me to bring myself out of that dark place. So if you are someone who is experiencing or has experienced depression, I just want you to know, like, I love you so much, and I know how hard that is, and people who have never experienced it will never truly understand the dark places that your own mind can take you to. And the transformation that I've experienced in this microdosing protocol with that has been amazing, because even though I have had very challenging moments over this past month, I have not sunk into a long-lasting depression like I would have in the past. And it's just like, it's a miracle to me. I'm just like, I have so much gratitude for this medicine, because this is something that I have struggled with for I don't want to say 28 years. I haven't had depression since I was a baby, but I'm 28 years old. I have been dealing with this for a good 15 years of this depression, and it's taken over my life in many, many, many times and made me stagnant and unable to do practically anything. And like I said, the mushrooms have helped me to learn to deal with those emotions and not let them fester. And I feel like that's a lot of what causes depression, is that we have these really intense or heavy emotions. We feel sad, we feel angry, we feel despair, we feel hopeless, and we don't know how to properly deal with them and work through them. So we just push them away, and then they fester. It's like stagnant water. It gets all mucky and dirty, and then before you know it, our body is like, hey, I can't take this. Like, I'm holding on to all of this sadness. I'm holding on to all of these emotions, and then it just knocks us out, and it forces us to be in it. And that's why I think the depression can get so intense, because we're just holding on to all of these emotions that have been for years maybe, and we haven't really known how to work through them or release them. And that is a big part of what the sacred mushrooms have helped me with in the macrodosing journeys and in this microdosing. The mushrooms have also helped me a lot with activating my creativity, and that's been really beautiful. It's so interesting how over these last 30 days of taking the mushrooms consistently every other day, or like I said, I kind of mixed it up, but I didn't do it every day. But taking the mushrooms consistently and seeing how I feel on the days when I take them, they just naturally make me want to do better. For a lot of my life, I have put so much pressure on myself to be the best version of myself, and I've been very hard on myself. Like, I need to eat healthier, I need to work out, and I need to practice my guitar, and I need to sing, and it's been so, like, it's just felt very constricting to put so much pressure on myself to do the things that I want to do, like eating healthy and playing music and all of these things, because I'm just putting so much weight and so much pressure on it. But with the mushrooms, they make me just want to do these things. It's so interesting. They make me just want to go hug a tree and spend some time in nature. They're helping me just naturally want to eat healthier, naturally wanting to play my guitar, naturally wanting to go lay on my patio on the ground and stare at the sky, it's just so beautiful, because it's not this energy of like pressure and forcing it and I have to make shit happen. It's just like, no, I want to do this because it makes me feel good. And it's so simple, but so helpful. I feel like I feel so different than I did even 30 days ago. I feel like my emotional intelligence has increased by leaps and bounds. I feel like I'm more creative and I want to do creative things. And I don't feel like I'm being as hard on myself. I feel like a lot of my problems in my life are honestly caused by how hard I am on myself. It's so funny. Like I said, how I put all this pressure on myself to be this person, like I need to eat healthy and I need to be productive or whatever. I put so much pressure on myself and I'm very hard on myself, and then it makes it feel even harder to do those things, and then it makes me not want to do them. So when I don't do them, then I'm even harder on myself, and my inner critic comes in and is like, look at you, like you suck, you're a failure, like you can't even just eat a fucking salad or whatever it is that day. And yeah, it's just been such a beautiful experience these last 30 days, learning how to deal with my shit, learning how to just be more kind to myself, and even seeing some days how, wow, I'm like being really hard on myself. Like, why am I being so mean to myself today? Like, and learning how to soothe myself and how to talk to myself in a kind way and how to be kind to my body. I feel like the mushrooms have really helped me to get in tune with my body as well. I feel like there's so much I could say, but I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface, because these sacred fungi are, I could cry. Like, I just love them so much, and they are such a beautiful medicine. And if you're feeling called to work with this medicine, there's a reason for that, just like with any medicine. And I think that mushrooms really have the power to help us heal, not only in a ceremony setting, but in our day-to-day life. And that is so powerful, because that's like really the transformation that we're looking for, right? Even when you go and drink ayahuasca and do this deep journey, you're doing that because you want your day-to-day life to improve. You want to feel better on the daily. And that's another aspect of this, is that the mushrooms have helped me to remember that, yeah, like there's going to be days where you feel like shit. Like there's going to be days where you feel off, or you're tired, or you're not happy, or you just don't feel great. And that's okay. But how can we work through those emotions? How can we decompose that dead matter within us to fertilize the soil of our spirit to create new beginnings, to create new ideas, to create new life? Like, all of that darkness is necessary. I feel like there's just so much that we can learn from nature. For example, if you garden, what is it that you use to fertilize the soil to make it healthy and robust so that the plants will grow big and strong and healthy? You use shit. You literally use like cow poop, chicken poop, different types of like excrement to fertilize the soil. And that is such a metaphor for life and just the experiences that we have daily, you know? Those dark moments, the emotions of sadness and depression and anger and whatever dark emotions that may come up for you, there is medicine in that. There is medicine in the darkness. That is what gives us the ability to transmute that and to transform it into something beautiful. Yeah, I just feel like the mushrooms are just so special and so sacred. And even if you do choose to microdose, I implore you to just remember that and to just remember that they're sacred. The point of microdosing is not to be high all day or to escape from your emotions. The point of microdosing is to commune with this medicine and to see, what do you have to teach me? How can I improve my life on a day-to-day basis? And to just remember that this medicine is very sacred. It's not, I don't believe that psilocybin should be used as a party drug. And there's a lot of nuance to this, right? Because I don't think that that means that you can't have fun. Like, if you want to take some mushrooms and hang out with your friends and play some good music and dance your ass off, that's amazing and beautiful. Like I've said in previous podcasts, I would not recommend to go to a huge festival or a rave or a club on mushrooms because you're going to be really sensitive. And there's so much more that the mushrooms have to teach us than just like, oh, I'm going to have a good time. And it's, like I said, it's very nuanced because that is also part of their medicine. Like, they want us to remember that life can be fun and life can be playful and life can be joyful. I just think that's very important to keep in mind, to remember that this is a sacred medicine. So even if you are taking a microdose with the intention of having fun and playing and dancing and enjoying your day, that's amazing. Just be very careful about the environment in which you do that. I can't say it enough. I am just so incredibly grateful for this medicine. It has really changed my life. And that is why it is really important to me to talk about it like it's sacred. Talk about these, I don't even like to say it because it's like it, ooh, no, like them, like it's a being. It's a group of beings and they want to assist us. They want to help us. And a lot of that has to do with our intention. I'm not saying that every single time you take mushrooms, you have to do a ceremony and sit down on your mat and do that thing, which is great. That's an amazing way to work with the mushrooms as well. But I'm just saying, even if you are going to take some mushrooms and go on a hike, just remember that they're sacred. Just remember that it's a medicine. Just remember that there's something for you to learn from these beings. I have just experienced so much healing and so much growth and so much transformation in this last month of microdosing. And every time I work with the sacred mushrooms, they always have something to show me. And I feel that it is important for me to mention that there is this element to the mushrooms that can be a bit tricky. They have this little like trickster energy sometimes. I don't want to make it seem like the mushrooms are all love and light and beautiful all the time, because sometimes they can take you to a dark place. and you'll feel that like trickster energy. Like it's like they're just giggling in my ear already right now, just thinking about it. But they do have a little bit of a mischievous energy at times. So that's something to be aware of. You know, they're like kids. Like that is why they're called Los Niños Santos. Like, yeah, they're saints, but they're also children. And sometimes they like to fuck with you or they want to play around. And I feel like that's just important for me to mention so that you aren't surprised if you work with them and you feel that energy, because they have done that to me before. You know, I've had times where I thought I had my shit together, you know, oh, I know the mushrooms, like we're good. And then I took a full 3.5 grams and looked in the mirror and saw myself as an alien jaguar cat and felt like I don't even know who that is in the mirror. And I've had some really interesting, weird experiences with the mushrooms. But overall, it's been amazing. It's been beautiful. And I feel like many of those times when I have experienced that trickster energy, or when I have gone into more of the dark realms of the mushrooms, have been when my intentions were not 100% clear or true or authentic, or if there was a part of me that was trying to escape. Many times that has been the case. Obviously everyone is different, and I'm not saying that is always the case, but I feel like that's a big reason why it's important to keep your intentions in check. And yeah, just be aware that all plants, just like all people, have a light and a dark side, and that you just want to set yourself up to be able to have the best experience possible, and also know that if you end up in those dark realms, that is going to be okay. And, you know, have tools that you can use to move through that. Call in your angels, call on your spirit guides, call on your ancestors, whatever beings, deities you work with. You know, work with some sacred tobacco. That's a beautiful protector. There's many tools that you can use to get yourself through those dark places. And oftentimes, if you do find yourself there, it's because there's something for you to learn. Like I said, learning how to move through the darkness and alchemize it and turn it into that fertile soil for the new expanded version of you to bloom and blossom and grow, because you deserve it, baby. All right, well, I think that pretty much does it for today's episode. I'm sure that there's probably things that I've forgotten to say on this podcast, and I'm sure that we will have many more podcasts talking about the sacred mushrooms, because they're amazing, and I really feel like that's my medicine. You know what I mean? Like, not it's mine, like I own it, but this medicine is one that deeply, deeply, deeply resonates with me, and there's a reason for that. But thank you so much for listening today. I really, really hope that you enjoyed this episode and that you learned something. Let me know. Have you experienced the sacred mushrooms? Have you gone on a full journey? Have you tried microdosing? Let me know in the YouTube comments what your experience has been. If you have tried the mushrooms, I would love to know. I love hearing about people's experiences. So shoot me a comment there. Sending you so much love. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment letting me know how you liked this episode. And if you have topic suggestions for future episodes, feel free to leave them in the comments there. If you're listening on a podcasting platform, it would really help me out if you could leave me a nice review, letting me know how you like the podcast so far. Thank you so much, and stay blessed.